I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today. We really appreciate that. This is an event that we try to hold on an annual basis in our efforts to raise awareness about violence against women and violence against women and children, and especially in our community. At one point, we will ask audience members to please lay flowers on behalf of the women that we are honoring and commemorating today, and we will talk about it when we get to that spot. Get your voices out here so I'm close to the door. Thank you. Today, December 6, 2012, marks the 23rd anniversary of the day that a man named Mark Lepine, armed with a semi-automatic rifle, walked through the doors of the engineering department at L'École Polytechnique in Montreal. He separated the male from the female students in the classroom, and after shouting that he hated feminists, he shot 9 of the women in the room. He then moved through the university, specifically targeting only women. In 20 minutes, 13 female students and 1 female employee were dead. 13 others were wounded. Lepine, who eventually shot himself, had applied for admission into the engineering school earlier that year and was rejected. In his suicide note he left behind, Lepine indicated that he saw feminists as being responsible for everything that had gone wrong in his life. The shooting clearly identified the reality of violence against women in our society and sparked a national debate. As a result of this public outcry, in 1991, the federal government proclaimed December 6th Canada's National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women.
23 years later, it's more important than ever that we remember the events of that fateful night. 23 years have not dimmed the sadness. Instead, it has strengthened our resolve to eliminate violence against women. Violence against women did not begin in Montreal. Thousands of women across our country are or have been victims of violence. Today, too many women continue to live with the fear of violence. Violence against women occurs far too frequently. We must continue to work towards a society that truly values women and where violence will not be tolerated. We stand together to remember and commemorate those women whose lives tragically ended that fateful day.
At this point, Gina will be reading out the names of each of the 14 individuals, and I ask that you would participate with us, and one at a time come up, take one of the carnation and lay it in front of the frame that identifies that woman, please.
So, the murdered women are Geneviève Bergeron, 21-year-old. Hélène Colgan, 23-year-old. Nathalie Croteau, 23-year-old. Barbara Daigneault, 22-year-old. Anne-Marie Edward, 21-year-old. Maude Aviernick, 29 years. Barbara Maria Loznik, 31-year-old. Marie Leclerc, 22-year-old. Annie Saint-Arnaud, 22-year-old. Michel Richard, 21-year-old. Maryse Lagagnère, 25-year-old. Anne-Marie Levé, 22-year-old. Sonia Denty, 28-year-old. And Annie Tsurka, 21-year-old.
On this day, it is important not only to mourn the deaths of these young women, but to take a moment to think about women who live daily under the threat of violence, who have died through acts of violence, and who have survived violent situations. It is also a time to consider what each of us can do to ensure an end to violence against women. Violence against women is a persistent and ongoing problem in Canada and throughout the world. It affects women's social and political status, physical and mental health, and economic security. December 6th is an opportunity for Canadians to consider the women and girls for whom violence is a daily reality, and to remember those who have died as a result of gender-based violence.
It is a day on which communities can consider concrete actions to eliminate all forms of violence against women. It will take each of us working together, communities, families, and individuals, to address issues of violence against women. All of society will benefit when we work to end violence. Today, December 6, 2012, is an opportunity for each of us to examine our own beliefs, our words, and our actions. It is a day to consider what we can do, both personally and in our community, to end violence against women.
Remembrance and action, one inspires the other. As we remember those who were lost in Montreal Massacre, we also commit ourselves to taking actions to end violence against women in Canada. On behalf of the Revelstoke Women's Shelter, I would like to thank each of you for participating in our candlelight vigil, and that we've used our collective voice on the 23rd anniversary of the National Day of Remembrance and Action against Violence Against Women. So again, thank you. I know it's a very short service to come out for, but we really appreciate the time that you've taken. We plan to do this, and again next year, and hopefully our numbers will grow. So if this is something that matters in your life, please do share it with your friends. And hopefully next year we'll see a little bit larger of a crowd, but regardless, us even speaking together, that helps raise awareness in our community. And again, I thank you for that.